Alright guys, in this video I'm going to be talking about how to install Windows Server 2012 R2. Before you start, you'll probably want a copy of Windows Server 2012 R2, either in the disk format or the ISO format. You can get an evaluation copy from Microsoft, but you have to have a Microsoft account, which just sign up, it's free. The evaluation is good for like 60 days. So I'll include a link on my blog and on YouTube in the comments, so you can go there and download it. So first, I'm going to be using VMware Workstation for this. You can also use Oracle VirtualBox. It's free, open source. Or you can just use a physical PC if you have one laying around. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go here, Edit Settings, go to my virtual CD drive. Here's my ISO file for Server 2012. And now put that in there. Hit OK. And then I'm going to power it on. Takes a little bit. So it should look pretty familiar to installing Windows 7 or Windows 8 from scratch. Do a little bit of loading the stuff off the CD. Okay, so you're at the Windows setup. It looks very similar to a Windows 8. So I'm gonna, obviously, I live in the US, so I'm gonna select English. Okay, next, install now. It's a pretty straightforward wizard. Okay, so here's a product key. Actually, I need to get my product key. I'm gonna pause the video real fast, then I'll be right back. Okay, so I put in my product key and hit next. So usually I if you download the evaluation copy, it won't just have data center here. Since I got this through my school, it was a specific copy only for data center. So there'll be other options such as standard or foundation edition. So I only had the data center one, so I'm just going to install that. So there's a server with a GUI, which will have the whole desktop, everything. And then a server core installation is a minimalistic install with like almost no GUI. It just has a command prompt window, and that's it. So if you're comfortable with command line, go for it. But there's some things you can only do with a GUI. So, and the nice thing with Windows Server 2012 is if you install Server Core, you can switch to a GUI, and you can switch back after you're done using a GUI. So if you have a PC that doesn't have a lot of guts, that's a good option. You couldn't do that with Server 2008. So I'm going to select to install with a GUI. So I'm going to hit next. Alright, accept the license agreement. Same as, I think pretty much everything after this is almost the same as installing 7 or Windows 8. So I just have a virtual hard drive of 60 gigs. Just gonna select that, hit next. Okay, and then it's gonna copy the files. So I will pause this video and resume it when it's finished installing all this stuff. Okay, so it finished installing, took about 10-15 minutes on this particular VM virtual machine. So now it should restart and reboot. This might take a while. So my blog will have a table showing the differences, the main differences between the different Windows Server editions and what each of them offer. I'll post links to Wikipedia too, because they have a pretty good table that go in a lot more detail than what I have, so it's good to take a look at that. If this takes too long, I might just edit it out, because no one wants to sit here and watch loading screens. Okay, so I ended up pausing it because it took a little bit. So after it finished loading all the settings, it restarted again and sat there with the Windows logo with the little spinny wheel at the bottom for maybe about 5 minutes at the max. But yeah, that was all it did. So then I restarted once and now I'm here. So I'm going to set the local administrator password. And then I'm going to click finish. Hopefully this doesn't take too long either. I want to try to make sure I get as much of the installation as possible, so it might be kind of boring just watching loading screens, but I mean that's what installing is, so. Okay, I'm gonna pause it and then I'll come back when it changes. Okay, it should be done now. Let's check it. Yeah. Okay, so I went through finalizing all those settings and now I'm going to log into it using that local administrator password I set earlier. And again, more loading. Ah, there's the desktop. A little sluggish. Okay, and when the desktop loads up, usually Server Manager pops up. There it is. So this is like basically where you go when like it has everything you need. I still have to install VMware tools here. That'll speed it up. So I'll do that after because we'll be using this server later. I'm going to do a tutorial on how to install Active Directory and DHCP and DNS and stuff. So they kind of give you steps and stuff. Just going to configure the local server here. Right now, we'll leave it in a work group until we install Active Directory on here, and then we can add it to a domain. I'm going to change this in a second because I'll have to restart that after I change the name. I'm going to change the time zone because that's not correct. So basically just go through and make sure everything's alright. The time, that's not accurate either. It's actually an hour before that. You can enable updates. I'm not going to because that'll take forever. Best practice is to, but if you would like to remote desktop into this from like a different PC, you can enable that. I'm going to change this to a static IP. Best practice again. I'm going to use 192.23.4 IP. I'll just use that for my network. Default gateway. I don't really have one, but we'll just make that the default. So this will be, in the future, my DNS server, the preferred one. So I'm just going to make the preferred DNS server address the same as the actual static IP. So click OK. OK. I don't care about that. Close out of that. Okay. Okay, now I'm going to go change this to Win 2012 R2. And then I'll add it to a domain, like I said, when we install Active Directory. So hit OK. It'll ask, or tell me that I need to restart my computer. Close. Restart now. It should restart relatively fast. From what I've seen from Windows 8 and Server 2012, they tend to reboot pretty fast. Quite a bit faster than 2008 actually. Any second now. Ah, there it is. Alright. Just log in again. Server manager pops up again. It'll do that every time you reboot or shut it down, turn it back on. And if you ever close out of server manager, they have it pinned to the start menu or the taskbar right here. So And if you can't, if it's gone, just search for it. It's actually right there, pinned to the start menu too. Okay, so a little bit about the dashboard itself. All your roles and all your roles are gonna be over here. So like when I install Active Directory domain services, it'll be over here, and I can select that, and then it'll show the properties of it over here. It's literally almost exactly the same, so it'll show properties and events like error messages and stuff. So for like properties for Active Directory, it'll just configuration options and stuff. Like up here, just like if you're searching in the Windows Task Manager, or not Task Manager, in here, same thing, same concept. Yeah, up here, notifications, this is very important. If there's a task that needs running or something, or it's notifying you that something in Active Directory needs to be installed, or it'll show up here, like, that's important. Manage, you can add a role, remove add servers, properties for the server manager. Tools is pretty useful. Instead of having to go to the start menu and search for things, you can actually just go tools. It has all the admin tools, I think. Well, when you install Active Directory, it'll have tools for it here too. You can change the view, and then there's the help if you need help. Okay, yeah, that's about it. Really just takes a little bit of messing around to figure it out. But if you've ever used Server 2008, it's relatively the same. So the next video, I'll show you how to install Active Directory. And yeah. So hopefully this was informative. Bye.